This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1030 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Well, the bane of many an event horse, fox hunter, or even trail horse is the dreaded ditch. So today's tip, we have Glenn the Geek together with Canadian eventing superstar Jessica Phoenix to talk about techniques for schooling over ditches successfully. And we'll get right to our tip after this important message from Kentucky Performance Products.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Researchers have confirmed that as horses age, they naturally become less sensitive to insulin and more susceptible to health problems caused by too much sugar in the diet. One way to reduce the sugar content in a horse's diet is to replace sugar-laden grains with a high-fat supplement. Fat is an extraordinary energy source. It is readily utilized by the horse and contains more than 2 times the calories of sugary grains. Equijewel Stabilized Rice Bran is an excellent fat supplement. It contains a balanced calcium to phosphorus ratio and won't cause mineral imbalances when added to the diet. Its all-natural ingredients are high in healthy fat and fiber. Best of all, Equijewel allows owners to easily replace the calories previously supplied by sugary grains. When you need to add healthy calories to your horse's diet, choose Equijewel. To learn more, visit Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about is teaching your horse how to school ditches correctly. A lot of times when I'm doing clinics or lessons, when we head over to the ditch, you can see all of the riders and they start to hold their breath and get a little bit tense as you walk over towards it. So the biggest thing is, I think, just breathing and staying calm and just riding normally. So always when we introduce ditches to horses that either have ditch problems or just to young horses that have never seen a ditch before, the most important thing is holding your line, and we always just walk parallel to the ditch, both directions. So sort of widthways, you'll walk along it to the left side and then change direction and walk back along it to the right side.
Okay.
And typically we just keep the horses walking like that and not letting them look in the ditch or spook at it until they become completely comfortable with it. And then what we do is approach the ditch. We'll start at the trot and just keep a really nice, consistent rhythm. And for the rider, always thinking about keeping a positive rhythm, like not going fast and running at it, but also not coming up and holding the horse back from it.
So a steady pace is the key to that first time.
Yeah, steady pace and really holding your line, like thinking that the horse is never allowed to spook off of their line. Once they've walked onto the ditch, they have to maintain that straight line and a really positive rhythm.
Which would help you in many other types of jumps as well, for that matter.
For sure, and that's the sort of ground line for everything, right? Every single jump that you do on that horse, you have to pick your line, hold your line, and then come at it out of a nice balance and rhythmical gait.
You know, and that's even more important now that with all the skinnies, and we might want to explain what that is for people who aren't really familiar with eventing. Those are the narrow jumps that they're making them 4 feet now wide?
They get pretty small, huh?
Yeah. I know. They look smaller to you. You're jumping them. We should explain that is actually a fairly recent phenomenon. I would say within the last 10 years, wouldn't you? That they've been making the jumps that skinny. And I mean, they're really 4 feet wide, whereas all jumps used to be 8 to 10 feet wide.
Right.
So that
makes that line riding extremely important.
Well, it also goes to the thing that, eventing has become much more technical than the cross country than it ever was in the past.
Right.
You have to really be thinking about that kind of stuff. It used to be just, run fast and jump high.
Exactly.
But now you actually have to think about run fast, jump high, and jump accurately.
For sure.
All right, so walk both sides until they're comfortable and not shying from that ditch at all.
Right.
And only then do you make that first attempt.
Yes.
And what do you do if they shy out? If they do shy out that first time?
Just never let them turn away from the jump, ever. So when the ditch is in front of you, you're holding that line, and if they try and spook left or right, you just really keep them on the line. And that's why I usually like to start out of the trot, because you can feel them start to change the line sooner.
Right.
Whereas when you're approaching at the canter, a lot of times things are just happening so quickly that the horse is past the ditch before the rider can even recognize that it's starting to happen.
Right, or the rider passes the ditch before the horse.
Right.
Yeah. That isn't funny when it's happening, but we have all seen that happen before.
Yes.
Well, that's a great tip, Jessica. I think that's great.
And another really good note is if you as a rider feel a little bit nervous coming up to the ditch, see if you can count your rhythm in the trot as you're approaching the ditch. And what that does is, as you're trotting up to it, listen to the way you're counting. And a lot of times when you get really close to the ditch, you'll listen to the riders. They'll stop counting like 2 or 3 steps away from it.
Right.
And at that point, it indicates to you as a rider that you stopped riding. So as you're trotting up to these ditches, try and count your rhythm and listen to yourself count, so that if you stop at any point, you can encourage yourself to keep riding and keep counting.
So your encouragement is actually to keep counting until you're over the jump.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and count the ditch as a jump, count the ditch as a step, like just another trot step.
Okay.
And also when you're landing, continue to count right through.
So you're really your own metronome when you're doing that.
Exactly.
You're just keeping track of your rhythm.
Yeah, and it is incredible when you give that exercise to riders. It's incredible the change in the horse and rider just by counting and listening to yourself count.
All right, great. Well, Jessica, where can people learn more about you? And I know you're probably still taking new students up in Canada there. Where can they learn more about you?
You can go to jessicaphoenix.ca.
You can find links to today's guests as well as more tips on topics ranging from barn care to websites for horse people at horsetipdaily.com. And you can have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go by downloading the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone or Android. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. You can also subscribe to the Horse Tip Daily Show via iTunes. This podcast has been made possible through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products and listeners like you. You can learn how to help support the Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. Please stop by the Horse Tip Daily Facebook and let us know what you think of the tips you hear on the show. You can also listen to the shows right there on Facebook. I'll be back again soon with another expert tip with a different topic. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.